The Galactic Empire had always regarded humanity as little more than a footnote in the vast tapestry of the cosmos. Emperor Valakar, the Empire's ruler, a towering figure of crystalline scales and cold, unyielding eyes, often dismissed Earth's representatives as naive dreamers. His belief that humanity lacked the strength or will to challenge galactic norms was about to be tested. The peace negotiations, held aboard the neutral station Orion Spire, were humanity's last attempt to forestall the Empire's resource raids on the outer colonies. Among the human delegation was Ambassador Richard Kane, a seasoned diplomat known for his unwavering resolve. By his side was his son, Jason, a bright-eyed, curious boy of 8 whose presence offered a rare glimpse of innocence in the somber proceedings. Jason had begged his father to bring him along, fascinated by the idea of meeting aliens. "I'll stay quiet, Dad, I promise," he had pleaded, his brown eyes wide with excitement. Kane had relented, hoping his son's presence might serve as a reminder of the stakes involved, the future of Earth's children. The negotiations unfolded in a grand hall of polished obsidian, where humanity's delegation faced the Empire's Council of Warlords. Jason stayed true to his promise, observing the proceedings with rapt attention. His small frame stood out amidst the towering aliens, a stark contrast to the harshness of the galactic stage. During a recess, Jason wandered to an observation deck, marveling at the stars beyond the reinforced glass. He encountered an alien delegate, a towering, insectoid figure named Kresh, who represented a smaller, subjugated species within the Empire. Jason's natural curiosity overcame any fear. "Your eyes are like emeralds," he said, pointing to Kresh's multifaceted gaze. Kresh hesitated, surprised by the boy's directness. "And yours, like the sky before a storm," the alien replied after a moment, his voice a series of clicks and hums. The brief interaction caught the attention of others in the hall. For a fleeting moment, the harsh divide between species seemed to soften. Even some of the Empire's representatives exchanged glances, unsettled by the boy's innocence in such a cutthroat environment. But peace was never the Empire's intention. Unbeknownst to the human delegation, a faction within the Empire, led by General Morvac, sought to sabotage the negotiations. Morvac, a ruthless strategist and staunch believer in the Empire's supremacy, viewed Earth's defiance as an insult that demanded immediate punishment. Jason, seen as a symbol of humanity's hope, became the perfect target. As the delegates returned to the negotiation chamber, chaos erupted. A sudden explosion ripped through the observation deck where Jason had been moments before. Alarms blared and smoke filled the air. Richard Kane's heart sank as he sprinted toward the blast site, fear gripping his every step. When he arrived, the scene was devastating. The reinforced glass had shattered, exposing the deck to the vacuum of space. Jason's lifeless body lay crumpled amidst the debris, his small frame dwarfed by the destruction around him. Kane fell to his knees, his cries of anguish echoing through the chamber. General Morvac observed from a distance, his expression devoid of remorse. Emperor Valakar's voice cut through the commotion. "This is regrettable," he said coldly, his tone devoid of sympathy. "But perhaps now you understand the futility of your defiance." The human delegation withdrew immediately, their grief and fury simmering beneath the surface. As Kane cradled his son's body on the transport back to Earth, his tears dried into resolve. "They will pay for this," he whispered, his voice trembling with rage. Back on Earth, the tragedy ignited a firestorm. News of Jason's death spread like wildfire, uniting humanity in grief and anger. Protests erupted in major cities, demanding action. Politicians and military leaders convened in an emergency session to discuss their response. At the heart of these deliberations was General Alexander Vance, the commanding officer of Earth's military forces. A man of imposing stature and piercing eyes, Vance was known for his cold precision and unyielding loyalty to humanity. "The Empire has crossed a line," he said, his voice calm but laced with fury. "They think us weak because we value life. We will show them the strength of that value." Vance's words galvanized the room. The decision was unanimous. Earth would retaliate, but this would not be a war fought for territory or resources. It would be a war of retribution, a message to the galaxy that humanity would not be trampled upon. As Earth's forces began their preparations, Vance stood before his assembled troops, addressing them with unwavering conviction. "They killed a child," he said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "Our child. They believe they can snuff out our hope. We will prove them wrong. We will show the galaxy what it means to provoke Earth." The section closes with Vance gazing out at Earth from the command center, the planet's lights shimmering like a beacon of defiance. In the distance, ships mobilized, their engines glowing as they prepared for war. Humanity had been underestimated for too long, and now the galaxy would witness the wrath of a united Earth. General Alexander Vance stood at the helm of Earth's military command, his eyes scanning the holographic display of the galaxy. The Empire's territories, marked in crimson, stretched across the map like a cancerous sprawl. Vance's voice was calm but epic as he addressed the Council of Earth's most brilliant strategists. "They believe we are incapable of striking back," Vance began, his tone unyielding. "They've made a grave error. We are not here to merely retaliate. We are here to dismantle their foundation." The strategy was audacious, a masterstroke of precision and ruthlessness. Humanity's forces, though smaller in number, had an edge the Empire underestimated: ingenuity. Earth's leaders had long prepared for a day when diplomacy would fail, developing advanced AI systems, stealth technologies, and orbital weaponry that could level entire fleets before they realized they were under attack. The plan hinged on deception. Vance outlined the mission in sharp, concise terms. "We will sever their communication lines, isolate their royal fleet, and strike at the heart of their power, the Imperial Palace. If we eliminate their leadership, the Empire will collapse under its own weight." Among the key figures was Colonel Ethan Drake, a prodigy in military tactics and a man of fierce loyalty to General Vance. Drake's keen mind and adaptability had earned him the command of Earth's ground forces for this operation. "We'll hit them where it hurts," Drake said, his confidence unwavering. "Their arrogance blinds them. They won't see us coming." The operation began with a fleet of stealth ships slipping into Empire-controlled space. These vessels, cloaked in experimental invisibility fields, bypassed the Empire's formidable defenses undetected. Aboard one of these ships, Vance monitored the mission's progress, his every command precise and deliberate. The first target was the Empire's communication hubs, sprawling stations that relayed orders across their territories. In synchronized attacks, Earth ships deployed EMP devices that plunged these hubs into silence. Panic rippled through the Empire as their intricate web of coordination unraveled. On the ground, Colonel Drake led a covert team to sabotage critical infrastructure. Infiltrating the Empire's largest military outpost, Drake and his men planted charges on fuel depots and supply caches. The resulting explosions painted the alien sky with fiery plumes, further disorienting the Empire's forces. With the Empire's military scrambling in confusion, Vance launched the next phase of the plan. "Bring the royal fleet into the open," he ordered, his voice echoing through the command deck. Using falsified distress signals, Earth's forces lured the Empire's flagship and its escorts into a carefully orchestrated ambush. As the royal fleet entered the targeted sector, they were met with silence. Then, without warning, Earth's orbital weapon platforms unleashed a devastating barrage. Beams of concentrated energy pierced through the Empire's ships, reducing them to burning wreckage. On the Empire's capital world, chaos reigned. The once imposing imperial palace, a fortress of crystalline spires and impenetrable walls, was now the final target. Vance himself led the assault, a rare occurrence that underscored the importance of the mission. Descending to the surface in an armored dropship, Vance and his elite unit encountered fierce resistance. The Empire's soldiers, though disorganized, fought with the desperation of those defending their home. But humanity's soldiers, equipped with cutting-edge exosuits and advanced weaponry, cut through them with brutal efficiency. As Vance advanced toward the palace, he reflected on the enormity of the moment. Every step brought him closer to the figure who had dismissed humanity as insignificant, Emperor Valakar. Inside the palace, the air was thick with tension. Valakar, seated on his throne, refused to abandon his post. His guards, loyal to the end, stood between him and the inevitable. Vance's unit breached the throne room, their weapons trained on the Emperor. Valakar rose to his full height, his crystalline form shimmering in the dim light. "So, the humans come to claim vengeance," he sneered. "What will it change? You cannot undo what has been done." Vance's expression remained unreadable as he raised his weapon. "No," he replied coldly, "but we can make sure it never happens again." With a single shot, the Emperor fell, his reign extinguished. The remaining members of the royal family, desperate and cornered, were captured or eliminated in the ensuing chaos. Outside, Colonel Drake and his team secured the perimeter, ensuring no survivors escaped. The Empire's capital world, once the nerve center of their dominion, lay in ruins. As the human forces regrouped, Vance stood amidst the destruction, his gaze fixed on the smoldering remnants of the imperial palace. The operation had been a resounding success, but the weight of their actions lingered heavily. Returning to his command ship, Vance addressed his troops. "This was not just revenge," he said, his voice steady but firm. "This was a declaration. Humanity will not be trampled upon. We will protect our own, no matter the cost." The section ends with Vance looking out at the stars, his reflection mirrored on the glass. The galaxy had been sent a message, one that would not be forgotten. But even as Earth celebrated its victory, Vance knew the war was far from over. The Empire's death throes would be violent, and humanity had to be ready for what came next. News of the Empire's annihilation at the hands of humanity spread like a shockwave across the galaxy. Once seen as a minor species, Earth now stood as the architect of the most significant power shift in generations. The Empire's sprawling territories, now leaderless, descended into chaos. General Alexander Vance observed the galactic reaction from Earth's military command. Holograms displayed riots erupting on imperial worlds as the oppressed species within the Empire seized the opportunity to revolt. Entire fleets mutinied, while governors abandoned their posts, fearing humanity's wrath might turn toward them next. "This is just the beginning," Vance said to Colonel Ethan Drake during a strategy briefing. "They'll either see us as liberators or a threat worse than the Empire. We must dictate the narrative before chaos consumes everything." Drake, standing at attention, nodded. "The question is whether they'll listen, General. Fear has a way of clouding judgment." Among the fractured remnants of the Empire, alliances began to shift. The Galactic Council, an organization that had long turned a blind eye to the Empire's tyranny, faced mounting pressure to respond. The Council had excluded humanity from their ranks for decades, dismissing them as too primitive for galactic politics. Now, their silence became deafening. On Earth, the reaction was a mixture of triumph and introspection. Massive celebrations broke out in major cities as news of the victory reached the public. For many, it was a vindication of humanity's place in the galaxy. But not all celebrated. In a quiet room in Earth's capital, Ambassador Richard Kane sat alone, staring at a holographic photo of his son Jason. The victory, though monumental, could never fill the void left by his child's death. When Vance visited him, Kane's voice was hoarse with grief. Did it bring him justice? Kane asked, his eyes fixed on the photo. Vance hesitated, his usual stoic demeanor softening. It brought humanity security. But justice, that's harder to measure. The conversation weighed heavily on Vance as he addressed the Galactic Council days later. For the first time, Earth had been invited to the assembly, not as supplicants, but as equals. The chamber, a massive dome lined with representatives from hundreds of species, buzzed with tension as Vance stepped forward. Earth did not seek war, Vance began, his voice firm yet controlled. But when war came to us, we did what any species would, defended our own. He paused, scanning the room, his piercing gaze meeting that of the Council's leaders. We do not ask for forgiveness, nor do we seek to dominate. But let this be clear. Harm one of ours again, and the retaliation will be absolute. The declaration sent ripples through the assembly. Some representatives murmured in approval, recognizing humanity as a force capable of challenging tyranny. Others bristled, viewing Vance's words as a threat. The council speaker, a wizened alien with a face resembling molten rock, addressed Vance. Your actions have destabilized the galaxy, the speaker said gravely. Entire systems now teeter on the brink of collapse. What do you propose to prevent further bloodshed? Vance's response was calculated. Order must be restored, but not through conquest. Earth is willing to assist in rebuilding, provided there are guarantees of fair treatment for all species. This offer was met with cautious optimism. While some species welcomed humanity's rise, others plotted in the shadows. The remnants of the Empire, fragmented and desperate, began consolidating under rogue generals who sought revenge. Back on Earth, preparations for these inevitable reprisals were already underway. Colonel Drake supervised the integration of alien refugees into Earth's colonies, ensuring their loyalty while strengthening humanity's defenses. If the galaxy wants peace, Drake remarked during a military inspection, we'll give it to them, but on our terms. The impact of Earth's actions reverberated far beyond politics. On planets once crushed under the Empire's rule, statues of Emperor Valakar were toppled, replaced with monuments honoring Jason Kane, a symbol of the innocence lost and the courage found. However, not all species saw Earth as liberators. On the Empire's outer fringes, a new coalition of alien warlords began to emerge. They painted humanity not as heroes, but as aggressors who had shattered galactic stability. One such warlord, General Tarkith, a surviving lieutenant of Valakar, broadcast a fiery declaration of vengeance. You think you have won, humans, Tarkith roared to his followers. But your fire has lit 1,000 others. We will not rest until your world burns as ours have. The transmission reached Earth's command, where Vance watched with a grim expression. Turning to Drake, he spoke with measured resolve. They've seen our strength, but they still test our resolve. Let them come. Humanity is ready. The section ends with Vance standing on the bridge of Earth's flagship, Epic, its massive engines glowing as the fleet prepared for their next move. Across the galaxy, alliances and enmities shifted like tectonic plates, but one truth became undeniable. Humanity was no longer a footnote in the galactic saga. They had become the authors of a new chapter, one that the galaxy would not soon forget. The galaxy had changed. Where once humanity was viewed as a fledgling race, they now stood as a force that had toppled an empire. Yet, the aftermath of their actions revealed a galaxy struggling to reconcile with the consequences of Earth's ascension. General Alexander Vance sat in the command chamber of Earth's orbital station, the faint hum of machinery underscoring his thoughts. Around him, holograms displayed scenes of rebuilding on worlds freed from the Empire's grasp. Refugees poured into human-controlled space, seeking sanctuary from the chaos engulfing their own territories. Colonel Ethan Drake entered the chamber, his boots clicking against the metallic floor. "Reports are coming in from the outer systems," Drake began, handing Vance a datapad. "Most of the former Empire's worlds are stabilizing under local governments, but a few warlords are still rallying forces. They're calling it a crusade against Earth's tyranny." Vance read the report silently, his sharp eyes narrowing. "They don't understand," he said finally, his voice low. "This wasn't about conquest. It was about sending a message." Drake nodded, and they heard it, loud and clear. Despite the looming threats, there were signs of progress. On planets once dominated by the Empire, species that had lived in subjugation for centuries were beginning to rebuild. Small councils formed to govern local systems, many of them modeled after Earth's democratic principles. In the galactic community, humanity's example became a beacon for those seeking freedom. But recognition came with challenges. The Galactic Council, which had long dismissed humanity as insignificant, now faced the reality of Earth's influence. Representatives from the Council arrived on Earth for the first time, their towering ships casting long shadows over the planet's gleaming cities. The Council's delegation, led by the stern-faced Speaker Vaker, requested an audience with Earth's leaders. In the Grand Hall of Nations, a structure that embodied humanity's unity, General Vance addressed the delegation alongside President Jonathan Hayes. Vaker's voice echoed through the hall. "Humanity has demonstrated strength, but strength alone does not build lasting peace. The galaxy stands at a crossroads, and the question remains, will Earth be a stabilizing force or the next tyrant?" President Hayes, a steady hand in turbulent times, stood firm. "Earth's actions were not born of ambition but necessity," he replied. "We do not seek to rule. We seek to live in a galaxy where no species fears for their children's safety." The Council's deliberation continued for days, during which Vance met privately with Vaker. The two leaders, though vastly different, shared a common goal: to prevent the galaxy from descending into another cycle of war. "Your people are dangerous," Vaker admitted during one such meeting, his molten-like face unreadable. "But you are also capable of incredible resolve. That is something the Council cannot ignore." As the Council debated, Earth's military prepared for any contingency. Drake worked tirelessly to strengthen alliances with newly freed worlds, offering humanitarian aid and protection in exchange for cooperation. The balance of power was delicate, and Earth's leadership knew they had to tread carefully. Amid these efforts, recognition of humanity's strength began to solidify. On liberated planets, statues of human soldiers were erected, and Jason Kane's name became a symbol of hope. The young boy, whose death had sparked Earth's wrath, was now immortalized as a reminder of what was at stake. Even within the Galactic Council, whispers of respect for humanity grew. Some representatives openly supported Earth's inclusion in the Council, arguing that their actions had reshaped the galaxy for the better. Others, however, remained wary, fearing that Earth's rise signaled the dawn of a new hegemon. In one pivotal session, the Council voted to grant humanity a seat among its members. The decision, though contentious, marked a turning point in galactic history. For the first time, humanity had a voice in shaping the future of the galaxy. Vance, seated alongside President Hayes in the council chamber, listened as Vaker announced the decision. Earth's inclusion is not an endorsement of its methods, but a recognition of its influence, Vaker declared. May your people wield this power wisely. Back on Earth, the news was met with cautious optimism. Celebrations erupted in cities across the planet, but Vance remained reserved. In the solitude of his quarters aboard the Epic, he reflected on the cost of their newfound status. Drake joined him, holding a glass of Earth's finest whiskey. You don't look like a man whose species just reshaped the galaxy, Drake said, setting the glass down. Vance offered a faint smile. Victory is never as clean as we imagine it to be. Every step forward leaves shadows behind. Drake raised his glass. To the shadows, then. May they never outpace us. As humanity stepped into its new role, the galaxy watched with bated breath. The seeds of hope had been sown, but so too had the seeds of resentment. Vance knew the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but he also knew humanity was prepared to face them. The section closes with Vance standing on the observation deck of the Epic, gazing at the vast expanse of stars. The galaxy, once indifferent to Earth, now turned its eyes toward humanity. Their strength had been recognized, their resolve unshakable. What came next would define not just humanity, but the future of the galaxy itself.